This short documentary series on the humanities in Europe today, which starts from Europe but will expand to cover, I hope, the whole world, is the initiative of the European network of humanities centers and institutes. We decided collectively with our colleagues that it would be a good idea to present a series of portraits of leading figures in the humanities in our part of the world, and to use them as sources of inspirations, as role models, if you wish, for practitioners and students alike. The portraits of these very sort of charismatic, highly accomplished, distinguished professionals accomplishes another aim. It allows us to trace a genealogical sort of portrait of where the humanities have been, where they are at today, and where they could go, insofar as each person that we interview is asked to trace their own itinerary, past, present, and future. And simply by asking a question like, what was your faculty called when you studied as an undergraduate? And noticing the semantic, the institutional, the political transformations that the field has gone through. Just by doing that, I think the viewers should be in a position to measure the extent of the changes and the extent of the vitality of the field. The hope of this mini-series is indeed that we can collectively, as practitioners but also as spectators, express our love for, our trust in, our respect for this amazing field of the humanities at a time in its history when it is coming under attack in the press, in the public debate, in policy making and financial decisions that are really penalizing this field. The humanities in the 21st century, as you will see in the different portraits of these great figures we're offering to you, are a vital, vibrant, critical, creative, extremely accountable field, proud of its history, confident of its place in the world, and very hopeful for the future. We really hope that you will enjoy watching these great figures, and maybe you will be yourself tempted to run out and interview somebody that you know in your own neighborhood, in your own circles, because the humanities are everywhere and for everybody.
I started to do an MA program in actually what was called bona fide humanities. It was a humanities program or liberal arts program. It was a multidisciplinary four-year study, four-year master's program where you studied history, philosophy, literature, and art history at Linköping University in 1993. And the faculty at that time, and it's actually still called that, and it still exists because it has a very wide name. It was called the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. Within this program, actually, it was quite unique, that Linköping program, at Linköping University, this program, because they had this pedagogy of multidisciplinarity, not interdisciplinarity, but multidisciplinarity. So we were reading this thing called epochal studies. So when you were doing, say, the modern period, which is a pretty long period, you were doing it across, you know, the philosophy, across art history, etc. And I did my major actually in history. But at the same time, I had the opportunity to study things on the side. So I did that. So I also did what was then called women's studies. And I did a BA in that at the same time. And I also did cultural studies at the same time. So I was trying, because I had this, of course, feminist interest. So I was doing those things parallelly to this MA program. I have a discipline, I would say, because nowadays I'm in the discipline or the post-discipline of gender studies. And in a sense, gender studies is so canonized basically all over Europe and in other places as well, that it is actually, it has these, you know, points of recognition. You have the conferences, you have the journals, you have all these things that make it actually for a discipline, and also for theoretical concepts or for ideas that are recognizable across several places. So I would say that it is it's behaving like a discipline. But on the other hand, what does it mean then to behave like a discipline? Because I mean, all disciplines are really changing. So, and as is, of course, gender studies. And it's turned out to be very fruitful for many things. I really did a journey from multidisciplinarity, from the kind of multidisciplinarity afforded by this humanities program, and also therefore that we could actually do other studies on the side, women's studies and cultural studies. And from there I was really waiting for this fantastic thing to happen in Sweden, because all the parties in the government decided that they were going to fund this new research place, the gender studies. And this gender studies was going to be an interdisciplinary gender studies department, or unit actually, that was going to be located at the larger department of TEMA. And TEMA is famous for its interdisciplinary research, for its both multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research. And TEMA is founded on this idea that you should have themas or thematic studies areas where, so it's a lot of, not just societal relevance, but it's really a political motif behind this. So you should have themas or units that are really working on issues of burning societal relevance. So they could be gender studies, which is actually the youngest one, but it was first technology and social change, and water and environmental change. Now actually they've changed the name and changed also the setting of this unit, so it's now called environmental change, and child studies and gender studies. So after I had worked a little bit at the university in all kinds of commissioned research positions in the Women's Studies Center, but also at technology and social change, I was so happy when I actually was one of the people who got the job as a PhD candidate at the new gender studies department. And that was really, really also a moment of move from multidisciplinarity to really not just actually interdisciplinarity, but to transdisciplinarity and postdisciplinarity. So during my PhD training, I was extremely fortunate. I got to spend some time at Lancaster University in 2002 or 3, I believe it was, and it was a tremendous experience, and I learned so much from being at Lancaster University. I was supervised and taught by scholars like Sarah Franklin, Jackie Stacey, amazing people, Sarah Ahmed, Maureen McNeil, and at the time also Donna Haraway and Lauren Ballant were also there as visiting professors. So it was a tremendously important kind of experience for me, and it really, a lot of things that I've been read about or thought about kind of clicked, and I learned really, and I got a complete new understanding, at least for the sensibilities that had been developed within feminist culture studies that I really, really appreciated a lot. And that's where I also see a lot of the work now for the future for these forms of more than human humanities or feminist forms of the post-humanities, to really try to recalibrate also these nuanced, fantastic tools, analytics of, for instance, culture studies or feminist research that's been developed to kind of recalibrate that, so to meet the kind of more than human humanities. And of course that entails, a complete reconceptualization of what we mean by nature, for instance, and by culture and by the human. And yeah, these are really exciting changes that and reconfigurations that are already taking place, and it's really exciting to be in scholarship at this time, I think. My favorite research method has actually probably many names in different areas. If you go into science and technology studies, there's been specific terms for this, actually not very high ranking terms, but tinkering or drawing things together. And I think that is actually a very good way of expressing it, of a form of material semiotics that aims at bringing things together and diving headlong into a topic, say be it Alzheimer's, and understanding what Alzheimer's disease is, for instance, in the laboratory practices where they actually are recreating and creating the very ontology of Alzheimer's disease. So that's one example. So I really love doing that kind of. And Donna Haraway, in a video, in a really old instructional video from the 80s, she described this method once, with a ball of yarn and how she was pulling threads, and it is like that. It's this imploded object that she's kind of, but you're in it actually yourself also. So it's not this separation really. In 2008, I was really lucky when I was hired by Linköping University after having worked at Utrecht University for 3 years. And of course, I think that me teaching at Utrecht University and being in the feminist communities and the theoretical communities here was really, really, really important for me. But then when this call for reintegration grants at Linköping University came out, I thought, yes, that is a really good opportunity because it was a really nice type of grant. But the kind of trick was that they expected us to behave like scientists. The kind of whole setup were that we had the kind of demands on us as if we were scientists. So we were to build laboratory groups. We were to produce in high impact journals and establish networks, etc. So I thought, hey, I'll do this my way, the only way I know how to do this. So I established the Posthumanities Hub in 2008 as a form of a research group, but a post-conventional type of research group. And the Linköping University was really generous, so there was funding also for 2 PhD students to start together with me. And since then it's kind of expanded beyond any kind of, because it isn't a conventional group. I mean, we meet irregularly, but we do meet and we kind of keep track of each other and try to help each other out actually in all kinds of ways. And I think it's been mutually beneficial for many people involved. So since a couple of days, I'm actually a professor now at Tema Genus at the Gender Studies Department at Linköping University, and that means a lot to me. I'm professor of gender, nature, culture, and I see myself as actually more of a community builder, as someone who brings not just things together methodologically or interdisciplinary or interdisciplines, but also someone who is bringing people together or actually partaking also where other people are already gathering and trying to be part of enriching communities, hopefully, and yeah. So I see myself as a community builder in many ways.
This makes you a major networker, would it be fair also internationally? To repeat it.
I would see myself as a networker, definitely. But that is also kind of part and parcel of what a lot of feminist scholarship is about today, I would say. It's a lot about networking, making new connections. I think especially feminist researchers are actually very good at that. And they are good at daring to approach other fields of research and exploring that and what does it mean and make friends in different areas and work with that and learning from them also. Yeah. I see myself in the future kind of working, continuously working now in that program that I'm so lucky to be part of, and so I'm setting up this Seedbox program, an environmental humanities program. That is, so we will create this kind of pilot platform for what we hope will be continued funding. We have really generous funding for this right now. So we hope that we will be so good that they will continue to provide us with funding for more years to come. But also to expand what could be done actually with also the environmental humanities as a form of feminist post-humanities or critical post-humanities. I believe in wide denominations, and that's why I really like, for instance, the Posthumanities Hub, because it is a really wide denomination. It kind of inscribes both what can be done with the humanities research, the regular tools, but it also points outwards all the things that are going on with the more than human forms of humanities. So I would love to see maybe a feminist faculty in that sense, where actually all the richness that is actually feminist research could have a place, really, because feminist scholars, people think that gender studies is a minor or a small field that they only do gender, basically. It's really rich and people are doing so many fantastic things and really exciting things. And things, I mean, it's such a big field that it's really hard to keep track of everything what people are doing. So maybe a faculty of feminist post-humanities of all forms, that would be fantastic. I am quite optimistic about this area because I think that all fields have to reinvent themselves, always. We also have to reinvent ourselves all the time. And if we are good at it, I think it will survive, not in the way we thought it was, or it's not going to be the same, but it's never the same anyway. So better change the future in directions you want it to be, really. I think that it's kind of a wrongful course or a misguided course to preserve research and particular ways of doing research, because it's always been changing, basically. And I mean, this is not anything anyone can control, really. And that's part of the fun.